Nasty English teacher tries to fail her whole class, so I got her fired. Want to fail the half the class because you lost our papers? Enjoy early retirement. So this happened during senior year in high school 4 years ago. I had an English teacher named Mrs. Smith. Mrs. Smith, or how she liked to refer to herself, Dr. Smith. She didn't have a doctorate, was a mean old bat that hated anything and everything. She was ugly inside and out. To give a mental image of what she looks like, her face sagged so much it looked like she had a perpetual stroke. She had about 2 feet in between her eyebrows and her eyes. Imagine Ursula and Cruella de Vil had a child and then that child had a baby with the devil. You get Mrs. Smith. None of the other English teachers liked her. There was nothing that they nor the administration could do due to her tenure. That is, until I became her student. Her teaching style included, but was not limited to, yelling at students, putting them down with petty insults, having us read to ourselves in the middle of class, kicking out students that were dozing off then later fall asleep at her desk, not letting female students go to the restroom for very obvious reasons, and the occasional losing students' work then accuse the students of not turning their work in. This last part is what crossed the line for me. You see, I wasn't a grade A student and I sucked at English, so I always played my cards right and made friends with everyone. Students and teachers included. So when I struggled and couldn't do something on my own, I let my charm save me and cash out on my months of being nice to everyone. However, no one could be friends with Mrs. Smith. I tried being polite. I was met with rudeness. I tried asking her how her morning was. I was met with silence and dead stares. I tried asking how I could improve in my writing skills. She told me that she wasn't willing to help. Within the first week of class, I knew I had met my match. So halfway through the semester, we're working on a big research paper. However, the day after the due date, Mrs. Smith had to go up to Illinois for some family issues for 2 weeks. Mind you, we turned in our papers both in hand and on Turnitin.com for plagiarism checking. No biggie. We won't get our grades back for a while, but at least we won't have to deal with her bullshit. Or so we thought. A few days after she gets back, only about half of the students got their papers back. The other half, including myself, were sitting there staring and waiting, thinking that she was going to go back to her desk and pull out the remaining papers to return to her students. But no, she told us to take out our textbooks and start reading Beowulf. Some students, including myself, that didn't receive their papers tried to interject and inquire about our papers, and she snapped back with "You should have turned them in when they were due." In unison, we respond with "We did." Of course, she denies it, and within a few days, our grades dropped immensely. At the end of the grading period, second 6 weeks, our report cards show a big fat F for English. Everyone is livid. And the worst part is if you get anything below a C, you were to be moved to lower level English at the end of the semester. Between the zero from the paper that carried almost half of our grade and only a few weeks remaining in the semester, almost half of the class was doomed to fail out. Now, most of the students were happy with having to leave her class. There was not much they could do. But I was careful. Remember the teaching methods I mentioned above? Well, Mrs. Smith thought that because we were in a classroom that had no cameras, her behavior wasn't being recorded. She was dead wrong. From the second week on, I started recording audio on my phone every day from the moment I walked into the class to the moment I left. Every day. I caught every single one of her personal attacks of students on tape. When she fell asleep, I pulled out my phone and recorded her. My pleas for help to improve and her refusal to help weren't left out either. Every day, I would go home, cut the audio to keep the good parts. And every day, my collection of dirt on her grew. And remember how I said we used Turnitin.com as well as paper? I had coordinated with all of the other students who were going to fail to screenshot all of their Turnitin receipts and send them to me as proof that they turned in their work. When she decided to fail me for her mistake, she unleashed hell on herself. I went straight to the administration and scheduled a parent-teacher admin conference. A week later, my parents, the principal, the school counselor, the head of the English department, and Mrs. Smith were all present. I started with how she had lost half of the class's work and most of us failed because of it. She denied it and again accused us of turning out our work in late as well as cheating and a bunch of other bullshit and lies. I remained calm and just pulled out a folder that contained all of the screenshots from my backpack and handed it to the principal, who then passed it to the head of the English department, who then asked Mrs. Smith to explain it. She instantly turned red in the face and started stuttering. Before she could get any words out, I say, "That's not all. Listen to this." I pull out my phone and start playing back the highlights from the semester. All the while, I'm staring dead into Mrs. Smith's eyes while trying to hold back a shit-eating grin. The suspense in the room would have killed Jason Statham. After the audio finished, the principal looked at me and said, "I think we've seen enough," and asked me to leave. I sat outside of the conference room savoring the muffled yelling through the walls. I'm pretty sure I heard my dad utter the words "filthy cunt," but I don't want to point fingers. The parent-teacher conference was on a Friday. I walked into class the following Monday to see an empty desk and a substitute teacher we all recognized and loved. 10/10 would document everything again. TLDR, old witch of a teacher insulted and put down students. I recorded nearly every insult. She then loses half of our papers and then accuses students of never turning in their work. I get screenshots of everyone's Turnitin.com receipts. I show the audio recording and screenshots to the principal in a parent-teacher conference. The old witch was fired. Feels good, man? Edit. This is getting some attention, so here are 2 things. Please don't gild me. It benefits no one but Reddit. Instead, put your money towards an education charity or something. Second, there is a story very similar to mine posted here about a year ago. I understand any doubt that may lead you to believe that this is a plagiarized repost, but I promise this story is true. I don't know how else to prove it, so you believe what you want to believe. Edit 2, so people are calling BS, so I'm currently trying to recover the Turnitin receipts. Please stand by. Edit 3, I've regained access to the old email, however it was suspended due to inactivity. Based on some forums from the email service, it should reactivate in 24 to 48 hours, then I can reset my Turnitin password from there. I promise I will follow through with this. Edit 4, to anyone doubting that I'm not trying to get proof, I've contacted Turnitin to get access to my old account. Edit 5, so I just thought of who Mrs. Smith looks like. She's a spitting image of Senator Feinstein. Edit 6, a FAQ I'm getting is why she didn't just use Turnitin as a way to see if we turned ours in on time? Fair question. Her policy was that he had to use both Turnitin and a hard copy. If we used only one or the other, we'd get a 0, hence accusing us of never turning ours in by hand. Please like and subscribe to end part 2s.